What is going on, everyone? Really, what's going on? How are you doing? Let me know in the comment section below. Now that we got that out of the way, today I thought we'd do a video on one of the coldest cities in the country, Buffalo, New York. I figure it's fitting because we're in the middle of June and currently it's 95 degrees here in Portland, Oregon. I have my AC on, it's still too hot, and I've been dreaming about winter all day. Buffalo is a very cold city on average. It gets more snow than almost any other city in the US. It's a great place to be chubby. You don't look like you're lazy, you look like you're smart and you're prepared for winter. I have a bunch of family in Buffalo, probably like 10 cousins and their families and stuff. I think I got an uncle or two left still. I haven't been to the city of Buffalo in about 10 years, so I jumped on Facebook and asked my cousins some questions and see what they felt about the city these days. Statistically, Buffalo sucks. I mean, other than the cost of living. If you've been paying attention to this channel, you know that if a city has a great cost of living like it's really low, the rest of the stats suck, like Buffalo. Buffalo is right here, it's right across from Canada where the Niagara River meets Lake Erie. The city of Buffalo received its name from a nearby creek called Buffalo Creek. How fitting. It was incorporated in 1832 and has a population of about 261,000 residents, while the whole metro area has just a little over 1 million. Just outside of the city, you have the University of Buffalo, which sports teams are known as the Fighting Jellyfish. Almost nobody moves to Buffalo willingly, and people don't move out too often either. Most of the people are on parole, and if they do try and leave, that little ankle thing starts freaking out on them, so they gotta stay put. But hey, if you're one of the people thinking about moving to Buffalo, you should watch my top 10 reasons not to move to Buffalo, New York. Number 10, oppressive taxes. Now that's what my cousin called Buffalo's taxes, oppressive. Property, income, and sales taxes are brutal in New York already, and Buffalo sticks it to you a little bit more. He moved to West Virginia 2 years ago and saw his property taxes plunge by 60%. He says he doesn't use profanity when paying his taxes anymore, so that's a good thing. The New York state income tax is 80% higher than the national average, and in the 3 minutes we've spent together here, if you haven't learned anything yet, Buffalo's in New York. Number 9, the Buffalo Bills. The people of this city seem to be bipolar during football season. They start every Sunday morning off in a good mood, and by noon, they want to cry or beat each other up in some parking lot in Orchard Park. Far too many people in this city judge their self-worth on how the Buffalo Bills did each weekend. It's really weird. My cousins, I have to deal with them in their Facebook posts about this. It's almost like someone convinced them every single Sunday that they're wasting their life doing whatever they're doing. It's really weird. Now, maybe this will change if the Buffalo Bills ever get good, but this city by far has the most fans that are affected by the win-loss ratio of the local football team. It's weird. Number 8, no interesting history. Buffalo doesn't have a lot of interesting history. The Revolutionary War didn't happen here, nothing from the Civil War. They had some things with the Native Americans, but nothing major. Oh wait, President McKinley was assassinated in Buffalo. That's really interesting. That's always great for a city. The only major thing that ever happened here is someone killed the president. And stop typing. I'm sure there's something in the history of Buffalo that you find significant, and that's fine. If it's not something the History Channel hasn't done a mini-series on, it's not major. I did find it funny that I came across the whole story about William McKinley and I was, researching it, the whole assassination thing. Oddly enough, I'm in the middle of reading a series of books and the dude who wrote the books, his name is Will McKinley. It's called Caffeinated Humor. I'll leave a link below. It's really good stuff. Number 7, the schools suck. The schools are really bad in Buffalo. Area Vibe gives them a big fat F, as in failure, not fantastic. The average student to teacher ratio, they don't even list. I tried to look that one up and couldn't find it. It must be really bad. In Buffalo, New York, an average of 79% of the students have completed 8th grade. That's 8th grade. They can't even get all these kids to graduate 8th grade. An average of 77% of the students have completed high school. Not a good number. This is the best piece of advice I can give you. Get your kid a passport and send him across the border to Canada. Number 6, they're a bunch of drunks. This is one of the drunkest cities in the country. This city finds a reason to drink if there isn't one already on the books. They'll find a reason. They'll make one up. It doesn't matter. They will find some form of festival to fill up every weekend they can. This, of course, leads to a lot of drunk drivers and late night fast food lines. Make sure you have uninsured motorist coverage if you move to Buffalo. And if you're one that drinks and drives, make sure you have a good lawyer. That's all I can tell you. Number 5, They're kind of short on jobs. So if you're lucky enough to have a job in Buffalo, rejoice. A lot of your friends might not. The unemployment rate in Buffalo is 25% higher than the national average. Even if you do have a job, chances are you're making 10% to 25% less in most industries than you would in other places like Rochester, Syracuse, even Scranton, Pennsylvania, which isn't terribly far away. The income per capita in Buffalo is 28% lower than the national average. It's like they want you to show up at these jobs in dangerous winter situations and pay you even less. Normally, when you have to travel dangerous roads to get to work, they like to pay you a little more. Not Buffalo. They got their own agenda. Number 4, construction season. A lot of northern cities have construction season. That's when the weather gets good enough for people to work outdoors for a few months, and they try and squeeze a year's worth of work into the shortest amount of time possible. Sort of like me in high school. My cousin said if they start road projects and it runs behind or winter gets there early, traffic sucks in that area till next April. There's no getting around it. Like I said, a lot of northern cities have this issue, but Buffalo is probably the worst. Number 3, bad quality of life. There's this stat they use for cities that takes things like commute times, amenities, healthcare, culture, parks, and a bunch of other things into account, and they come up with a quality of life score. Buffalo was ranked 32nd worst in the country. That was out of like 150 cities. They were also ranked the worst in New York State. That's not a good stat. That really isn't. I mean, 93% of the population just wants a good quality of life. At the end of the day, that's all they're looking for. And the other 7% just want out of New Jersey. Number 2, crime. Buffalo carries the nickname the City of Good Neighbors, and that's an extremely accurate nickname. If you consider someone taking all your stuff and assaulting you or possibly killing you neighborly, then yes, they're very neighborly here. The overall crime rate in Buffalo is 77% higher than the national average, and it's only safer than 4% of the rest of the cities in the country. It is hard to solve a crime here most of the year anyway. I mean, think about it. You get robbed on the street and the cop shows up to write the report and you tell him he was wearing a ski mask. The cop looks around and goes, just like everyone else in the city, you mean? Yes, just like everyone else. And number 1, the winter. Buffalo normally gets 90 inches of snow every single year. That's 90, as in 90, almost 100. Why do they get so much snow? Well, in part, it's the lake effect. According to the National Weather Service, in the Buffalo area, when cold air from Canada moves across the still unfrozen, warm Great Lakes, the lake moisture and instability from the temperature contrast builds extra bands of snow and dumps it on Buffalo. What's scary is just north of Buffalo is Rochester, and they get it worse. The snow is just part of the problem in Buffalo. The cold, as you can imagine, which comes with snow, is brutal. Nothing like touching your steering wheel on a nice, crisp morning and getting instant frostbite. Now, here's another thing. These people don't do snow days. They don't call into work because too much snow. Here in Portland, if we get 2 inches of snow overnight, the city stops. Not Buffalo. They expect you to be at work on time so you can make 20% less than your Pittsburgh counterparts. That's just the way it is. They got a different way of doing things in Buffalo, and they do it all winter long, except for the road work. That comes to a screeching halt. Hey, and for all of those who watched this far, the University of Buffalo is the Bulls, not the Fighting Jellyfish. I just put that in there so we could get people all stirred up. Now you get to go back and read all the hate comments. Should be fun. Alright, so that's my top 10 reasons not to move to Buffalo, New York. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Don't forget all the links below. I left a link for Caffeinated Humor. It's great books. There's actually, I think, 2 or 3 of them. I'd suggest getting them, downloading them, whatever you want to do. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.